by Roger Olson, who spent the last 13 years aboard his 28-foot Bristol Channel Cutter, Xiphias. In this segment, Roger, his cat Pintle, and their crew Michelle, a young Australian woman with no previous sailing experience, sail off to the Pacific Islands of New Caledonia, Vanuatu, and the Solomon Islands.
It's been 3 years since I departed Dana Point, California. I've enjoyed my stay in Australia, but my visa is ready to expire, and I want to continue my cruise to the islands of Melanesia. That is, New Caledonia, Vanuatu, which was previously called the New Hebrides, and the Solomon Islands. I'm very proud of Xiphias, a 28-foot Bristol Channel Cutter which has carried me safely over thousands of nautical miles. Unfortunately, too much of it has been alone, except for my pet cat, Pintle. Pintle was named after Gudgeon and Pintle. If he were a female cat, her name would have been Gudgeon. Pintle and I agree that our floating home needs a female presence, so we ask our Australian friend Michelle if she would like to crew with us for this leg of our voyage. Michelle says she would like to crew, but she can only go for 8 months. Then she must return to Australia before Christmas. She desperately wants to learn how to sail and navigate. Pintle really doesn't care one way or the other, just as long as she can open canned cat food. As soon as Michelle's aboard, she becomes confused with halyards, sheets, guys, lifts, etc. There's a lot to learn. The first thing she must learn is to keep a hold of the dinghy's painter when she comes aboard. So the lessons begin. Snap shackles on sail halyards must be securely closed before trying to raise sails. Sail hanks must not get reversed before raising sails. Trying to learn the bowline is difficult for the beginner, but an essential knot for the sailor. There simply is just too much to learn in such a short time, so I let Michelle read sailing books and ask questions. This will all sink in along the way. My visa expires tomorrow, and we must make preparations to get underway. This means we must pull out all stops. The downwind pole is checked to see that it moves freely on its track. The piston on its end must be checked to make sure that it's not frozen in place. The sail hanks must be inspected to ensure that they work freely. The safety line and the safety harness must be securely fastened to the boat and permit free movement anywhere on deck. It could save our lives if we were to fall overboard. My sextant needs cleaning and adjustment before our departure. Without the sextant, we could get lost in the middle of the ocean. The engine requires a service, and especially checking the condition of the through holes and their hose clamps. Well, perhaps a little Ajax on the soles of the feet might be in order. All the sails and its stitching must be inspected, as well as all the standing rigging. As I continue to check the sailing gear, Michelle flogs the cushions and cleans the interior. Now that's what I call energy. The rush is over. Simply provision and then depart. Well, simply may be overstated. It is expensive, and careful consideration must be paid to what we buy, as it may have to last us the full 8 months. This is our third load. It all must be securely stowed away. This is not a problem on Xiphias, as it has so much stowage space that I always buy, far more than I need. Finally, everything is secured and we are ready. I go into Brisbane and collect the customs official, but discover that their boat is in use, so I must row him against the current of the Brisbane River.
Country of residence, Mr. Olson, is United States?
Oh, that's correct.
Very good. Miss Davison, I see you've already paid your departure tax. Yes, correct. Very good. Okay, that seems to be in order. Okay. Well, I'll just stamp your passports. Departed Australia. This is just to indicate that you have left Australia. Other countries may be interested. And also it shows that you have departed from your entry on a particular visa you have there, Mr. Olson. Mr. Olson, here's your clearance. You're cleared to leave Australia now.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate your courtesy and the time you took, and we'll see you again in another couple of years.
Forward to it.
When all formalities are completed, and we have said our goodbyes to our friends, we set sail for New Caledonia, just over 900 miles northeast of Queensland, Australia. We hope we'll have southeast trades. This passage will take us across the Tasman Sea. This is where I encountered a cyclone when I entered Australia. Soon after our departure, we were doing 7 knots. One of the many advantages of an external hung rudder is its easy access and simplicity for installing a homemade wind vane that will steer us on our passages. It also permits the tiller to be removed while underway. After a few days of sailing at 7 knots, the winds shift to dead astern, and it begins to lose its strength. Fresh water is always a concern, since we never know how long it'll be until we can replenish our supplies. So we take warm, tropical saltwater baths. Then we rinse with fresh water. Note the black bag hanging above Michelle's head is absorbing the heat from the sun. The coolness of sunset brings Pennell out of hiding. His favorite place is on top of the Dodger. At first I thought it was because he wanted an unobstructed view, but soon I discovered that he was waiting for someone to bump the underside of the Dodger so that he could pounce on their back. Daily sextant sights must be taken. I shoot the sun 3 times a day, the stars, the moon, and other planets before I make a landfall. Someday I'll buy a GPS or a sat-nav, because celestial navigation only works when you can see a celestial body. I don't know how long my Dodger will last under these conditions, but it sure does appear that Pennell enjoys the attention. The calm conditions provide an excellent opportunity to teach Michelle celestial navigation. I have taught celestial navigation at yacht clubs in various countries that I have visited. First, I teach the recipe method, that is, simply follow the steps, just like baking bread. Then when the student is confident that he can locate his position, I teach him why he is doing what he is doing. This way he gets a better understanding of the process. Michelle is a quick learner. Not only that, she enjoys doing celestial navigation. The roller furling head sail permits me to set as much sail area as I require, and it's all done from the cockpit. It also eliminates the need to go out on the bowsprit in anything but light winds. When the winds begin to exceed 10 knots, I set my working sails. When below 10 knots, I use my light wind Genoa. During the night, the winds picked up and the seas got a bit rough. Neither Michelle or I got much sleep. Now that it's calmed down a bit, Michelle snuggles into the starboard berth with a large lee board that holds her securely in place. When she awakes, she amazes me with her ability to cook while underway. Skies are overcast and the rain is coming. We're very fortunate to get a celestial sight which positions us 3 miles off the pass into New Caledonia. As we approach, we see another yacht that is departing New Caledonia for Australia. As we enter the pass, we see Coquette on the reef. They had departed Australia 2 days before us. We learned later that they had attempted to enter the pass at nighttime. Fortunately, no one was injured. We raise our battered French flag and yellow quarantine flag. This informs the officials that we are new arrivals and we require clearance, and that we carry no contagious diseases.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Do you gentlemen speak no English, huh?
Speak
You speak a little English.
C'est facile de remplir ça?
I speak no French, I'm sorry. It's my problem. But she speaks a little French. She can help.
Vous allez remplir ça, une note d'information, vous signez, datez, signez. De toute façon, c'est en anglais. Hein?
All right.
Soon after our clearance is completed, a squall passes, so I set up our cockpit cover, which keeps us out of the weather. Noumea is the capital and largest city of New Caledonia. It has a population of about 134,000. Its inhabitants are native Malaysians, called Kanakas, and of course the French residents. Some call Noumea the Riviera of the Pacific. It has a gambling casino, a Club Med, and anything that a tourist may require. We hear there's a local yacht club that will take foreign yachts out for an anti-fouling paint job. This is something that must be done every 12 to 18 months. After negotiations and heaps of French francs, Xiphias is set on the hard. Her bottom is cleaned and repainted with anti-fouling paint. Xiphias weighs in excess of 14,000 pounds. This provides a stable, comfortable motion at sea, but it's a worry when it's suspended on slings. The operator sees that I am worried even before we start, and he tells me in his French accent, "Oh, monsieur, no worry, I only drop a few boats." The operator looks serious most of the time, until he hits a bump and Xiphias begins to swing in the slings. Then he yells, "Whoa!" Then he turns back and looks at me with a silly grin. Soon we have cleared with the officials and we're on our way to Beta Proni, a full day sail from Noumea. Xiphias is only 28 feet on deck. But with a bowsprit and boomkin, she is 37 feet overall. With a 26-foot 1-inch waterline and carrying 673 feet of working sails, she moves along at 6 knots in these light conditions. Sometimes it's hard to believe that this is only a 28-foot boat. At Pony Bay, we find a secure anchorage in clear, shallow waters. A freshwater river cascades down into the bay, providing an excellent place to do laundry and top up our water tanks. As Michelle does the laundry, I do the photography. It seems like a good arrangement to me. Don't let that happy grin and wave that she has fool you. Little do I know what she is thinking and what lies ahead. After our glorious days, we depart for Vanuatu. We will enter at Port Vila, then we'll sail down to Tanna Island and see the live volcano. The mild conditions provide an excellent opportunity to teach Michelle how to set various sails. But soon the winds increase, and we have covered the 300 miles in 2 days, averaging 6.5 knots. We raise our Vanuatu and quarantine flag and wait for the officials to arrive. It's only minutes before we see the approach of their official boat.
We came on board and 3 of us, 2 immigrations and customs. My name is Michael.
My name is Roger. Pleased to meet you.
Happy to meet you.
Okay, we got some more. Okay, got to fill this one out too. Okay.
Soon we are cleared most efficiently, and we are issued 3-month visas. Vanuatu used to be called the New Hebrides until its recent independence. The capital is Port Vila, with a population of about 113,000. It is located on the island of Afate. 3 times a week, Port Vila has an open market where fresh produce, fish, and meats can be purchased at bargain prices. There is an unusually large number of yachts and tourists in Port Vila. Apparently, it's time for their independence celebrations. We bought some fresh fish at the market. Pennell patiently waits for his share because I always buy enough for 3. Pennell's eating habits are improving. Perhaps it's time I let him eat at the table with us. Michelle says he eats just like I do. During the day, I teach Michelle how to sail the dinghy, while at night we attend the independence celebrations. After I demonstrate the technique of sailing the dinghy, Michelle will take over and see how she can do it on her own. Well, she's doing very well. The problem is I can't get her to come back to Xiphias, and I have a sneaking suspicion I'm going to be cooking dinner tonight. No, I think she's coming back now. Well, you know, that's a relief because I don't even like my own cooking. After long deliberations, Michelle and I decide to make the 140 nautical mile windward sail to Tanna Island, where there's a live volcano. The start of our passage is with light winds and dolphins. Unfortunately, it doesn't last. By the time we arrive, we've had to fight 20-knot headwinds. At Resolution Bay, we are happy to set our anchor and go ashore to find a guide to the volcano. We find a small village. No one speaks English. We learn they are building a new house out of local green trees, stripped of their bark. No nails are used. Everything is lashed with strips of bark. The walls are lined with pounded coconut husks. The roof is layered with coconut fronds. The house will last for about 5 years. Through sign language and drawings, the word goes out to the village that we are looking for a guide to the volcano. The next day, we come ashore and find Charlie, along with his brothers, who will agree to take us to the volcano. Charlie speaks a little English, so it makes it a little easier. The day is overcast and it's raining off and on. Along the way, Charlie sees a possum and attempts to shoot it with his bow and arrow. Fortunately, he missed. As we approach the volcano, we notice the land becomes more barren, and we can hear the rumble and feel the earth move beneath our feet. When we arrive at the volcano, we peer over this side, and it's an awesome sight. The sides of the volcano drop off at a steep angle, terminating in the bowels of the earth. The sulfurous smoke makes it difficult to see. Fortunately, Charlie had led us to the windward side of the volcano. We watch, mesmerized by the sight. Suddenly the earth shakes and we lose our balance. Then that is followed by a loud rumble. Charlie and his brothers spend most of their time hiding behind a rock wall. He says it protects them from the spirits of the volcano. We asked Charlie to join us on the rim before we start a long trek back to Xiphias. He is reluctant, but soon we are all happy to make our return. After departing from Tanna Island, we head for the Solomons. Along the way, we will stop at Waterfall Bay and the Bank Islands, and we'll check into the Solomons at the Santa Cruz Islands. Then we'll continue on up into the regular Solomons. There are many islands in the Vanuatu group. Some are still so primitive that the authorities have asked us to avoid them. Apparently they are still headhunters, and worse yet, saltwater crocodiles. After several anchorages, we arrive at Waterfall Bay in the Bank Islands. We take advantage of the fresh water to soak our bodies and do laundry. Michelle informs me that it's my turn. The bay is uninhabited, except for one family. Little do we know there is a 20-foot saltwater crocodile who also inhabits the bay. The day after our departure, an Australian from a charter yacht is taken by the crocodile and never seen again. The local family tried to warn us about the crocodile, but we speak different languages. We thought they were trying to give us crocodile meat when they were giving us the lobsters and coconuts in exchange for flour and sugar. The night before our departure, another yacht arrived by the name of Anoa from Chino, California. So we decided to do a sail along up to the Santa Cruz Islands. We arrive at Graciosa Bay, raise our Solomon flags, and are quickly cleared by the officials. Unfortunately, though, because we arrived on a weekend, we are charged an extra $26 for the clearance and an additional $100 light fee, although we never saw a light for the duration of our time in the Solomons. We anchor in this lovely little bay and go ashore. I collect fresh water, do a few photos while Michelle does the laundry along with the local ladies. Fortunately, men are not permitted to do the laundry. I tell Michelle, when in Rome, do as the Romans. Michelle and the ladies chat and they laugh, and neither one of them have any idea what the other one is saying. Soon we are off again and we're headed for the southern tip of Guadalcanal. Before Xiphias, I had a 40-foot motor sailor. I always thought big was better. But I discovered I was spending 90% of my free time doing maintenance and 10% of my time actually sailing. When I finally decided to go smaller, I found my maintenance was negligible and I was finally permitted to go sailing. As the sun sets, we pass close to a live volcano that protrudes out of the ocean surface. We arrive at the south end of Guadalcanal. The anchorage is called Miraval Sound. Pinto loves the anchorages just about as much as we do. Simply to have the boat still for a while is a reward in itself. Soon we are visited by a local who speaks fairly good English. He insists that he shows us the methods of eating beetle nut.
Eat very slowly, and then when you find that it is enough, or you're getting sour inside your mouth, then...
The beetle nut is like a small coconut with a husk that protects the nut inside. The husk is removed, and the nut inside is chewed. It is very bitter, and saliva floods the mouth. A local mustard pod is dipped into powdered lime. This neutralizes the bitterness. Then that is followed by a special leaf, apparently to give it flavor. After it's all been masticated sufficiently, it is spat out. Don't swallow it, or your colon would turn into an internal waterspout. It tastes like chewing hot aniseed, and it leaves you with hot flashes, relaxed, numb, and dumb. While Andrew chooses beetle nut, the kids entertain us in their canoes around the boat. Michelle wants to sail this next leg of 40 miles without my help. So be it. It looks like I'm on laundry and cooking duty. To hell with Rome, Michelle says. Perhaps I should remind her that she is just crew. Second thoughts suggest that I keep my mouth shut. Actually, she does an excellent job of sailing. Finally, she asked me to give her some assistance with our drifter. She says she's not too sure which is the head, the clue, or the tack. Well, this is my only opportunity to assist. So I go up forward and I show Michelle how to attach the sail. Unfortunately, I had set the sail upside down. With a red face, I tell Michelle that this is the way that we use the drifter. This way we can catch the wind aloft. I'm not certain that she believed me. Our destination is Maleta Island, across the Solomon Sea. From there we will sail up to the New Georgia group, to Gizo, where Michelle will fly back to Australia. We're going to sail across the Solomon Sea to Maleta Island, where shell money is used for bartering and buying wives. Maleta is also the island of shark worshippers. We arrive at the largest village on Maleta Island, called Aki. This is one of our favorite stops in the Solomons. At first we feel the villagers are hiding from us, as there's no one to be seen. Finally, people come out of hiding, and the children take us to their chief, who is building a dugout canoe. The chief gives us permission to remain anchored where we are, and he also agrees to explain to us the procedures in making a dugout canoe. First, the canoe is roughly shaped with axes. Next, it is repeatedly burnt out to soften the wood inside. This is followed by patiently chiseling out the interior by hand to achieve an even thickness throughout. This is followed by using a sharp stone to rub the interior so it is completely free of slivers. The finished canoe weighs about 200 pounds and will last about 5 years before it rots. When we return to Xiphias, we are met by two young English-speaking villagers. They tell us not to miss Lalausi village, further down the lagoon. Lalausi is the village that worships sharks. Maleta has 60 miles of enclosed lagoon on its southwest side. Lalausi is a man-made island built on the reef of this lagoon. Each stone was hand-carried from the mainland. Its purpose was to escape the giant headhunters of the highlands, who they claim still exist. However, our visitors inform us that they remain on the islands in order to escape the insects. The locals still worship the sharks. We hear repeated stories of how villagers were carried ashore by sharks after their canoes had capsized. They also believe the sharks have supernatural powers. We are asked not to photograph the ceremony as they're afraid it may disturb the sharks. The ceremony consists of roasting a pig, and then everybody feasts, including the sharks. While we are here, we have an opportunity to watch them make shell money. After the shells have been collected, they are separated according to the colors. Then they are broken into small pieces. These small pieces are then chipped away until they all have a fairly uniform size. Next, they are ground flat between two stones using water to wash away the residue. After all pieces are flat, small holes are drilled in the center. Some use the traditional drills of their ancestors, while others use more modern machinery. After the holes are drilled, they are strung onto monofilament lines, and a stone with a groove in it is used to sand down the shells to uniform sizes, make them perfectly round and smooth. Then they are removed from this monofilament line and restrung on 1 fathom lengths, according to their colors. Some of these shells are worn during ceremonies. The red is the most valuable shell. That is followed by the brown, then the white, and the black. The black shells and the white shells, though of lesser value here in the Solomon Islands, bring a very high price in Papua New Guinea, just next door. We continue our travels down the 60 miles of the Longa Longa and Ari Ari Lagoon of Malaita Island. We anchor wherever we want, but we always get permission from the village chief to make certain that we are not on sacred grounds. Pennell is quarantined aboard Xiphias. This applies in every country that we visit. Pennell's never been on land. It's probably just as well, because Pennell wouldn't know what a dog is or any of the other dangers. And he seems to be very contented aboard his little 28-foot home. We must continue on our way to Gizo so that Michelle can return to Australia before Christmas. Michelle wants to sail this leg of the voyage without my assistance. She is confident she can do it alone and insists that I stay out of it. She tells me to go below and make lunch while she gets us underway. She must be joking. Go below where I can't see what's happening? No way, Jose. Michelle has really come a long ways over the past months. I really feel confident that she could single-hand Xiphias anywhere in the world. Well, with everything considered, I guess I might as well go ahead and make lunch, because I'm really not needed at all. I'm beginning to feel a bit guilty. I'm sitting back in a beanbag, drinking a cold beer, watching Michelle do all the work. She asks if we should bring the dinghy aboard or tow it. Our passage is a short one and the seas are very calm. I inform her it's her decision. She can do whatever she likes. As we approach the New Georgia group of islands, we lose sight of land. Michelle says she wants to bring out the radio direction finder and get a fix from the various radio signals. This is just another navigational procedure that Michelle has learned to master. We arrive at Miraval Lagoon in the New Georgia group. We find that the local fresh water comes from an artesian well and is piped down to the shore. So as we fill our tanks, the local children show off for us. Every cruising yacht has some method of protection from the intense tropical sun. My awning also serves as a rain catcher. That is, when it rains. While here, another boat comes in from Alaska. Jim and I meet the local New Zealand missionary family who runs the timber mill. They tell us about a secret, open tribal burial ground. Under the guidance of their son Glendon, we begin the arduous climb up the mountain. Soon the girls turn back, but Jim and I continue the climb. After a couple of hours, we finally arrive at the burial grounds. With our butts hanging over the edge of a cliff, we peer inside to see the numerous skulls. There are no skeletons. These are the souvenirs of headhunters. When we leave the cave, Glendon guides us to a point where we can view Miraval Lagoon. Beautiful saline waters, fully protected, and beautiful islands and anchorages. From this height, our yachts look small indeed. On our return to the boats, we go by the local community gardens, which are being tended by at least one member of each family. As long as each family contributes labor, they will all share equally in the harvest. Last night, while visiting Jim's boat, I consumed one too many drinks, and I gave Michelle the title of Skipper of Xiphias. This morning she reminds me of this title and asks me to raise the anchor. We're on our way to Talina village, which is known for its wood carvings. When we arrive at Talina, the first people we meet is a family by the name of Wayne. John Wayne is the local wood carver, and he agrees to carve for me a spirit of the Solomons out of black ebony. The carving will be a carving of the sea life that's found in the Solomon Islands. While we wait for our carving to be completed, John, whose Christian name is really Wayne John, entertains us by singing some of their local songs. The bass to this music comes from John hitting the various lengths of bamboo with a thong. The days pass slowly. We spend a lot of our time listening to the local music, practicing hitting the bamboo with a thong, swimming, and thoroughly enjoying ourselves. John, unfortunately, seems to be taking much longer to finish the carving than we have available. We must get Michelle to Gizo so that she can be back before Christmas time. We must leave. John informs us that he will send the carving when it's completed along with another yacht that'll be coming behind us. However, we don't leave empty-handed. We have collected carvings from the other carvers in Talena and Chico village nearby. The day before our departure, we have a heavy rain, and our dinghy is half filled with fresh water. Michelle grabs the bar of soap and dives into the water, crawling into the dinghy and announcing that she'll have the first bath. Soon we're on our way to the northern New Georgia group of islands. We'll cross over Munda Bar into Miraval Lagoon. Then we'll go through the Diamond Narrows. Munda is where the Japanese had their secret air base during the World War II. It remained hidden from the Allies for years by bending coconut trees over the runway. As we pass Munda, we enter the Diamond Narrows. This separates the New Georgia island from Narrow Island. The Narrows will accept vessels up to 20-foot draft. The U.S. PT boats used to burst through these narrows in search of the Japanese airbase. As we depart the Narrows, we are joined by dolphins, a common occurrence in the Solomon Seas. Our destination is Broeckel Harbor on the northeast side of New Georgia Island. This is where the Japanese brought their small freighters in to unload supplies to service their Munda Air Base. As we enter the uninhabited bay, we see a Japanese freighter. Later we dive on this freighter and we discover that she was unloading trucks when the Americans dropped their bombs, sinking it and its cargo on the spot. After several days of diving on this freighter, we move on to Inoue Bay, a few miles up the coast. Inoue is where the Japanese had their big guns that they used to protect the entrance to Broeckel Harbor and the Diamond Narrows. We find 5 large guns rusted in place. There were projectiles laying around the ground. However, their casings were missing. Later we learned that the casings are removed by the local Solomon Islanders in order to collect the gunpowder, which is packed into empty coconut shells and is used to stun the fish when they are fishing at sea. After we leave Inoue, we will enter Blackett Straits. This is on our last leg to Gizo Island, where Michelle will go back to Australia. And I, unfortunately, will continue my sailing alone. Michelle has certainly changed over the last 8 months. She's now a great sailor and navigator, as well as a close companion. As we approach Gizo, we will pass close by John F. Kennedy Island. This is where John F. Kennedy and his crew swam to after their PT-109 was hit by a Japanese freighter. Both Japanese and American vessels navigated these waters at night without lights. As we approach Gizo, the traffic picks up. The locals speed by in their primary means of transportation for this part of the world. We continue right past the local airport. It's an island which has had all the trees removed in its center. It's the only airport that serves Gizo. Gizo is an old town built during the war. Most of the buildings are small Chinese shops that all sell the same thing: canned mackerel, soap, rice, and cloth. It doesn't take long to locate the local Solomon Airline office. Michelle buys her one-way ticket back to Australia. Early the next morning, it's time for Michelle to be taken to the airport. Pennell is as sad as I. We have enjoyed Michelle's company and friendship over the last 8 months. We're not looking forward to being alone again. Gizo's airport is a one-building airport that only permits the passengers to get out of the rain. Reluctantly, we say our goodbyes. We have shared some good times together. She's been with me through New Caledonia, Vanuatu, the Bank Islands, Santa Cruz Islands, and now the Solomons. It's sad to think that she'll be back in Australia before dark. One of the advantages of sailing alone is the people you meet who crew for you. Michelle has been an excellent crew and a close companion. But now it's time for Pennell and I to continue our voyage. I love cruising, never knowing what tomorrow will bring. I love the challenge of the sea. I've learned to respect and live with her various moods. I especially love the new landfalls after spending days or weeks at sea. Ahead is a new country with a different culture and customs that I must learn. So, Pennell and I are off for the exciting country of Papua New Guinea, anxious to see what new experiences may lie ahead.